California. Austin, you're live with Eric and Thomas.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
That's nice. I didn't expect to get on so quick. Wow, well, that was a good discussion there. I'd like to say that probably a lot of psychologists would say that we basically have all those disorders in a really mild form, and it's kind of a imbalance that causes trouble.
I don't know enough about the topic.
It's abnormal disorders. I was going to say, that was. It's interesting because it kind of ties into what I want to talk about. It's difficult for a lot of people to really say that there's nothing, and they have to make purpose for their own lives.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. I don't remember that lady's name.
Cherie.
But obviously she's. I'm sorry.
Cherie.
Cherie. Yeah. She has a difficult life, obviously, and the religion seems to be talking about something that other stories don't really do that. And that's like talking about what happens when you die, talking about how we have a purpose for our existence. And that's the part that you can't take away from some people, it seems like.
Wait,
I mean,
yeah. I'm going to have to stop you there because this is something that I cannot let just get swept. It's a logical premise that I don't think is sound. And it's that you have to have life go on for it to have purpose.
Yeah,
and
I don't disagree with that.
It's like if you had, there was a fantastic video by Dark Matter where there's this meal and it's like, oh, hey, the spaghetti's amazing and stuff. And it's so good. And then they eat it and it's like, well, the bowl just kind of replenished itself. It just keeps, it's this infinite thing of spaghetti. Well, it's so good that we have purpose that this spaghetti dinner never ends until they're like literally bloated and sick and like just eating themselves to death because it's, this meal it's just horrific. And it's like, it doesn't have to be infinite to be meaningful. And in fact, if you study anything in the realm of economics, usually scarcity brings value, So to me, the fact that this life is short, it makes it so much more purposeful, so much more, oh my God, I have to take advantage of every single minute and make every day count because I've got this one brief moment in the sun. And
yeah, but it's a little easier for some people than others. And for some people, the problem is that it's so difficult and rather sometimes impossible, especially in third world countries, to sort of have any kind of satisfaction from any days, this long emergency of a life. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to induce that there must be a God or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is this: statistically, we realize the atheist community, and I'm not talking about like the militant atheism type of thing. That's horrible because that actually doesn't do any good. It does harm. But other than that, even like talking mildly, there's a certain crowd you reach to, and then there's a certain crowd that's very religious and have nothing else. And it's more difficult to reach to those people when you want to, not you as in you personally. I mean, generally, if we want to cut off the head and say none of this is real, there is no God, there is no purpose until we find it, and then it refers to, we have all these questions. So for some people, it's difficult. They don't know exactly what these questions are. It's easy to say, oh, you know what, after every physics revolution, it's easy to say the rest of it is God until we find out, oh, no, this is the reason for inflation. This is the reason for dark matter. Oh, but the rest of it is
and
God.
The gaps keep getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, the God of the gap.
Yeah. So what was your suggestion, Austin?
My suggestion is this. Let's look at, we have in our history, if we look at our fictional stories, our books, and our actual history, there's correlations. We sort of learn from our history and tell stories. And if we look at everything as stories, some of these stories, whether it's actual like history books or religious stories or anything, some people believe they're false, some people believe they're true.
Right.
Almost any story you take, some person's going to say, hey, the earth is flat. You're going to find someone who believes it's false. But if we look at everything like stories, let's look at religion as stories. We have these characters that people relate to, and these are prophets. As they're, when they're beginning, they're talking about morality. There's these young characters who are kind of, seem like they're revolutionary in their philosophy and talking about morality, and then things get messy. But then we equivocate that. We put that on the same table as this.
Austin?
Yeah.
I'm trying to tighten you up, man. You're getting a little long here.
Okay, well, I'm saying that we equivocate that moral character, the human being that we relate to personally, to this all-knowing, all-powerful, narcissistic, misogynistic, fascist tyrant of a god. And it's a huge confusion that happens. And I think that we have to, it's not right to say that we don't have any purpose just because we haven't found one.
I agree.
Because I think that if you listen to Spinoza, I think that guy was onto something that's a little deeper than our math right now. Because if we look at all the works of
Austin, I've completely lost track of you.
Okay, well,
I have no idea what you're saying.
If you could give us kind of an elevator pitch, like in maybe 2 sentences or so of what you're.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be mean. I do the same thing with Jamie all the time.
No problem.
All right.
I think a lot of people would agree that where we are is we don't have free will.
Okay.
Most people would say Sam Harris and Dan Dennett would kind of disagree on that. Matt Dillahunty would agree with Sam Harris, and I guess a lot of other people would say we don't have free will. Okay, so if we don't have free will, then doesn't it look like everything is sort of on a track, even though we might not see that track?
Not necessarily.
If we don't have free will and we're manipulating what's happening around us,
right,
and everything else around us, like all the other animals, simpler brains to all the bacteria, they don't have free will either.
So here's what
the whole universe doesn't have free will.
Here's what sticks in my craw about that. Right. What sticks with me is that when I was studying our tree of life, right, I had a few amazing professors. And what I learned about our evolution and the evolution of every species before us, right, is that it's not so much a tree as a bush. Right. It's certain qualities being selected for. And, if we were to rewind, who's to say that it would happen the exact same again? I mean, there is a component where if it is random, then it's not necessarily on a track, right? If we were to go back in time and do something different, right, everything would change from there. So I would not agree that it's necessarily either all predetermined or there's free will. I think there's some give there. And I think that in that give is probably a little more realistic that, okay, if there's no free will, fine. But I don't think that we're just on this straight track, that we're kind of also at the whims of
I'm more of a determinist than you, but I'm not going to argue on the show.
Here's one thing.
Why not?
I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole again. I think we did last time I was on.
Oh, nice. All right.
I mean, I agree with the randomness of how things seem to happen, but there's also this that we might consider. We're detecting gravitational waves that we think are from when the universe started, and now with this new thing, Gaia, it's going in the infrared. And with the filters, we're really detecting gravitational waves in a new manner, mapping things a lot better. These waves that sort of led us to the Big Bang. With
redshift. We got you.
And with the inflation and seeing these waves that are coming from when the universe started, we believe. I think this kind of tells us that there's this sort of an equilibria to the universe gravitationally. I mean, it's something we don't understand yet, and I believe I don't believe in the uncertainty principle. I think it's deterministic. So I think there's an equilibria to the universe and to our time. So it's a little.
Yeah, I really. That is so beyond my pay grade. Thomas, do you understand this stuff? Because I'm
not sure what you're saying when you
Yeah,
talk about there's a gravitational equilibrium to the universe.
I'm still trying to determine whether or not that's on
waves
topic or if we started.
these
But
waves exist
I
in our
do feel
universe.
like we're veering off topic a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about being a deist. That's what I'm talking about. I'm kind of a deist in that
Hold
sense.
on. You took us through all of that to get to deism?
Well, but see,
Austin?
the deism in the sense that there's a being. There's a being in the universe.
I think that you are.
That is the universe.
I think you are very eloquent. I think you're very well spoken. But on a call-in show, brevity is wonderful. So I want you to work on this and see if you can condense this down into something that we can get bite-size, because this is a conversation that we can have for several hours, and this is a 90-minute show.
I absolutely understand.
Lines.
You're right.
Okay?
And to be honest, the reason I called was just to say the thing about the stories of these religions. Let's dissect the characters and separate the prophet from the tyrannical God. That was my reason to call, to be honest.
Sure.
I just get into the conversation.
No, that's totally understood.
And I appreciate you guys. You know, and I got into it because you guys are obviously intelligent, and I enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate you guys' time.
Austin, we appreciate you, man. I hope to hear back from you. And let's cut it up into pieces so we can talk about it, because I think this was just a little much. You know, it was a little unwieldy.
I will.
All right, you take care. Right,
that's what Matt told me. You too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yeah. Bye.
I mean, was I wrong?
No, I